Okay, that should be working now. I forgot to plug the microphone in. But everything should now be working. Sorry about that. So I'll start again. Hello to everybody watching live and those who are watching on catch up. I hope you all had a good week and are enjoying your weekend and are staying safe. Everything working. Just double checking if all the sound settings are working. Yeah, it looks like it's working. So today we're going to be making some paint. I thought I'd do something quick and easy today. And because it's going to start getting warmer in a couple of weeks here, I wanted to get as much paint, handmade paint made before it gets too hot, because making paint in 30-degree heat in the middle of July, it's not fun. Because I want to sell more paint. I'm selling some paint at the end of June, but I want to sell some paint sort of September time too. So I want to get everything made and done, ready for then. Oh, hi Mikey, how are things going? Oh dear. What have I got? Oh, okay. That's just a subscription thing. Right, let's have a look. I think everything is working smoothly. You can hear everything and see everything. I know I had the sound off for the first minute, but hopefully it's working now. Right, let's measure out some pigment. So we're going to make today orange. I don't know what this is. PO59. This is apparently called Chinophyllone orange. I think I called it transparent orange. So we're going to make that. It's a bright yellowy orange, and as you may have guessed, it's transparent. Oh, hi Lindsay, how are things going? Yeah, things are going okay today. It's been a good weekend. It's gone very quickly, too quickly. It's also been an unusual weekend. The lockdown here has lifted a little bit this week. It was a really short announced, like it was announced Thursday that from yesterday, Saturday, that those living in single occupancy households could form a social bubble. So I've been able to see limited people over the last day or two, all of a sudden out of the blue. So it's not been the most productive weekend. Two and three. I want to try and find out what this pigment is. I'm sure there must be another name for it. Let's have a look at handprint. Handprint. Let's have a look. Orange, because I've got another orange as well, which I think is PY36 maybe. I want to say that I also make. Oh, here's a thing. It's not on handprint. That's weird. See if I can find orange 59. I'm sure I've seen another company make this. Could be a dye. Yeah, they just... Oh, database. Here we go. A couple of databases. Okay, that's just a chemical compound of it. Oh, here we go. It scrolls. Oh, here we go, we're getting there. PO51, 60, oh, I missed past it. 59 is known as dinotriline orange, or organic nickel orange, or permanent orange, apparently. It's a light value, yellow, red, orange, fair tinting strength. Requires wetting age, and it's not rated by ATSM, but the person who runs its website says it's rated as excellent light fastness. And the Crema also agree with that. They say it's pretty good in light fastness. So you can hear everything okay. I can turn the heat volume up a little bit. See if that helps. So yeah, I'm not sure if any company makes this. Daniel Smith might make it. I can try and find out, because I don't know if there would be another company that would make it. Jackson's. I don't buy a lot of orange paint, so I'm not really sure. So I'm not sure how common this pigment is. It may just be very common that nobody's really... I've never really seen it before. I get those. Orange. Pyrrole orange, oh, that's PO73, that's not it. Permanent orange is PO62. It's not that one. Yellow deep is PY110. They have any other oranges? I think that might be it. Mayan orange, nope. I can't find anybody that makes this colour. I guess they don't make it. Hi Rusha, hi Lana, how's everybody doing? This is fresh binder that I made the other day, so see how this goes. Oh, it's messy. I need some kitchen rock to wipe that. Oh. Gonna make a big mess. Big sticky mess. I didn't really announce this live stream very well. I literally only decided I was live streaming about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. But I thought I'd do something quick and simple today. I've not had a chance to do any more drawing yet, or a chance to do any more filming for those paintings. I've done quite a bit of paint making this week though. I made quite a few colours. And I also made that opal colour that I thought would be really gritty and noisy to make. And it was actually very smooth and easy to mold. So I should have made that one last stream. Let me know if anything is looking not so good or is sounding a bit hard to hear, and I can try and make it a bit louder. I hope that everybody's had a really nice week and things are slowly getting better. I can see across countries, particularly in Europe, we're slowly kind of repairing. Yeah, exactly. It's always because I have so many. Because I have so many pigments, I often forget which ones are gritty and which ones aren't. I need to start writing more notes on them, so I remember. Perhaps I'll do that after this stream or tonight at some point. Write down some notes on the ones I made this week. So this week I made lapis lazuli. I made what colour did I make? Bavarian Green Earth. That was a really gritty one. It didn't improve too much. I finished mulling the Epidot one in the last week. I've also made Pyro Red too. And I've also ordered some mica pigments as well this week. So I've got gold and I've got blue. So yeah, busy week. So I've had to make more binder to make more paint. This definitely needs a little bit more binder in. I am planning on ordering a different manufacturer of lapis at some point. I think Cornellison's in the UK now is open, which is one of my pigment suppliers. And I want to order a load of pigment from them, but the order's going to cost like a couple of £100, so I'm probably going to do that after I put my paints on sale, so that I've got a bit there to fuel, because I've also got my website that's coming up for renewal, so that needs paying. I've got my taxes which still need paying, I think. I don't think they've taken them yet. And I really do also want to get a scanner at some point this summer. So yeah, lots to pay out for. I've got some of it from current paint sales, but I want to get a good amount there. So I can order lots of nice pigments. Because there's about 10 pigments or so from Cornellison's, which are, they call them early pigments, so they're kind of rarer pigments. So I want to give them a go. And they're about £10 to £15 for a small amount. But I just want to get a small amount to try each one and see what it's like. You only see the second word of the lapis. Well, here for day jobs, taxes are done automatically. They're done by our government and everything, so they're taken automatically. But anything you earn outside of that, if you're like what I do, if I'm kind of like self-employed stuff as well, you have to do your own taxes regarding that. I filed it all, but I don't think I've paid it yet. They were supposed to review it and then say it's okay to pay. I've not heard anything back on it, so I don't know if it's something I have to log in and check. I'm not sure. This is the first year that I've got to pay tax on my paint making stuff, because you've got to earn so much before you pay taxes on it. So last year, 2019 to 2020, April 2019 to March 2020, was my first tax year, so I was literally tracking everything, every spend, everything I made, and things like that. Well, that's a nice tax return. We do sometimes get tax returns back if they've taxed us wrong or too heavily. The video started. You should see orange colour. I mean mulling and moving with orange. Maybe try refreshing. Is anybody else experiencing any issues? Oh, I remember now, this pigment's a bit weird. It goes a bit airy. It almost goes a bit like whipped meringue. Oh, make a mess. This isn't one of my streams. Unless I make a mess. Oh, your video did not start for you either. So is it all started now? Is it all working? Oh, the video's frozen. That's not helpful. I apologise, that is my fault. Why is this not? Let's try this, hold on a second. I'm going to turn it on and off. No? Oh. Why is this not working? Deactivate. Oh, activate. Let's try that again. Oh, here we go. Configure. I need to do the configure thing. Hold on. I didn't realise it had done something weird. Whoa, that's very yellow. Slightly too orange. There we go. That's actually not bad. My hands look a bit pink for some reason. I don't want autofocus on. Right. Sharpness, saturation, contrast, let's try that. Why do my hands look so white? I suppose they are pretty white anyway. That's very neon yellow. Oh my god. Let's see if I can turn that down. Contrast, is that going to be maybe one of the reasons why? Oh, let's get it a bit right. Let's try that. Oh, it's very noisy. That's not bad actually in colour. Does it look alright for everybody now? Is it working? Hey, it works. Quite a large frame rate drop, I don't know why. I always struggle with getting things right for the video. My hand still looks really unsaturated, it looks really white. I don't know why it's so white. My hand's not that white. Is my camera reset itself? No, it hasn't. What's going on then? Why then do I need to turn up colour intensity? What's going on? No, because that just does the background. So strange, why is it doing that? Okay, I will just go with it. We'll go with it. Thank you for letting me know that it's gone weird. So this is P059. I call it transparent orange. I've made it before. But Crema call it Chenophthalone orange. Or Craftische orange. But it's a bright, warm, yellowy orange. Did I just get some wet? No, we're good. making noise. Yeah, I don't think it quite swatches out as deep as this. It's more. It's hard to explain. I'll show you once it's ready. I'll show you what it's like. Because the camera is kind of looking pretty good on colour. That's very bright. But yeah, it's not too bad on colour. But it should be working now nicely. This is definitely a very weird colour. Like it's like almost like oil paint. Look. It's light and buttery. It shouldn't be like this. Normally it's not like this. This colour seems to behave like it. It's not a really bad thing, but perhaps needs a bit more binder. I really like poppies as well. I want to be able to grow blue poppies, but I don't think the seeds are in season yet, so I've not been able to attain any. I also as well this autumn want to plant parrot tulips to grow indoors, but they're not in season yet because they bloom sort of now, and they have to be planted in sort of September, October time, I think. I just have a list of too many flowers that I want to grow. Yeah, they look really fragile, don't they? Like poppies. They're not overly popular here because we tend to use them for Remembrance Day. So because they have that association, people don't really grow them so much like throughout the rest of the year because they are for Remembrance Day rather than like all year. Again, I think they bloom around this sort of time, sort of springtime, spring, early summer, because the year that I visited Scotland and saw otter, we went to the botanical gardens there, and they had blue poppies still in season. And that was end of June, beginning of July. A lot of people do paint them in watercolour because they're quite simple and quite forgiving, like because they come in so many different shapes, and because they are so delicate, you can get all sorts of random shapes for the petals. So you can paint them and be really forgiving. Like you can just draw a wiggly shape, and that can be a petal. Yeah, blue poppies. They are. I think they're Himalayan blue poppies. They were being grown in the Royal Botanical Gardens in Edinburgh. Yeah, I think that's the place I've seen them grow, like wild on sides of roads and dirt tracks and places that don't tend to get tended so much. I think they're kind of like weed flowers almost, like they grow best in places that aren't disturbed too much, I think. Unless it's coming up to November, where they are then grown and sold for remembrance. I don't think I've seen a tiger lily actually. Oh, nearly swore as well. Gross. I always find that really interesting, like what flowers grow in what country and where. Reminds me a bit of Animal Crossing. Like each island will have its own native flower and flowers that grow there that you can buy. Just as same with countries. I've seen some countries, some flowers are really rare and considered like exotic. Things like the birds of paradise, for example. But you go to its native country and it just grows like wildly, and it's considered like a weed almost. Tiger lilies only bloom once. Yeah, I think most flowers tend to bloom once and then they rebloom again next season. I know tulips do. Tulips only stay in bloom for around a week as well, so they don't stay in bloom for very long, tulips. I guess for the way to get it best is to have, when you plant things like in your garden like that, is to plant them I guess a couple of days apart. So if you're going to plant something like poppies or tulips, it would probably be best, like say, plant a couple, say on a Monday, then the Sunday afterwards plant another couple, and then do that like maybe 1 or 2 plantings a week. That way you'll get them blooming like throughout their blooming period. You'll have a consistent like flower garden of them. I swear to God, today is the day that I want to put my fingers in paint. Is it still working? Yes, it's still working. It says it's really bad drop frame rate. I don't know why. Is the video really smooth? Or is it really jumpy? It looks quite smooth on my screen. Yeah, it's also a good idea to plant other flowers that bloom like just after them. Sometimes I think I would love a garden. Then other times I think, wow, would I really have the time to maintain it? It's smooth, just a little freeze every now and then. I can live with that. As long as it's not unbearable to watch. I do really need to look at trying to get a way that I can have it a bit higher quality and better streaming. It's difficult because I can only have the video in a certain high bit rate, the bit rate at a certain level, because it will start to cut and be bad connection otherwise because of my really crappy Wi-Fi. So one of the prettiest gardens you've seen is one filled with bulbs that had all different blooming times throughout the year. So it was a constant change of colour and beauty. That sounds like a really nice well-planned garden. Yeah, that's what I mean, like I could really probably plan a garden quite well. I would probably want to try and plant and grow all the things that I really like, no matter how difficult they are, like parrot tulips or other tulips and things like that. Poinsettia for winter. You had tiger lilies in a flower bed in one house and blooms lasted a week. I don't know how long they would last indoors. I'm watching my strawberry plants at the moment. We should hopefully be getting strawberries soon. We've just hit British strawberry season, so I'm also looking at maybe we might be getting the strawberries quite cheap from the supermarket as well this year, because usually strawberry suppliers and growers grow hundreds of thousands for Wimbledon, because that's what is a popular snack for, strawberries at Wimbledon, but Wimbledon has been cancelled this year. So they have an excess of strawberries, or they will do. I keep meaning to go to the garden centre to see if they've got any like maybe reduced or really good priced houseplant stuff. But I've yet to have the courage to actually go. Apparently non-essential shops are starting to open up from tomorrow, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. This is a very strange pigment. I don't know if it's air bubbles or I'm not sure what's causing it. All I see is a cattail. Do you have a garden, Lana? Because I think you live in an apartment? Catnip, that's one thing that I probably have growing wild as well. Catnip in the garden. Have all the cats in the garden. Oh, not now. Oh. Oh, what you mean, like a allotment garden? So like a garden space that you can rent. I would look at renting one, but it would cost a lot of money, and it would cost a lot of money to get all the stuff to get it going. Wow, sounds like you grew quite a lot. I know when I lived at home one year we grew potatoes and carrots. The potatoes did really well, but we got like 1 or 2 carrots. Oh, so it was a garden of your parents. I see. So when you made the garden all nice and neat and nice and pretty, they wanted it back. Typical. Oh, hi Susan. How are things going? I think my parents are doing stuff with their garden at the minute. I think they're having a big conservatory built along the back of their house. They're not garden people, they don't like gardens. Yeah, we've had that today. It wasn't too bad weather earlier, so I went out for a walk and delivered some paint stuff. And while I was out, it decided it was going to rain, and I got drenched. And now this afternoon, it's been beautifully sunny. I mean, I've never done gardening in general, but very much. But going off of my houseplant stuff, it's either really relaxing or really stressful. I will have to point out that some of the things I have to repot are cacti. Oh, have you got anything nice for dinner tonight, Lana? Oh, hi Nettie. How are things going? Yeah, I find this time of year is really good for growing things. This time of year and sort of September, October time is really good. Like my houseplants tend to go wild this time of year and sort of September, October time, where it's like warm but it's not hot. Like it's like probably a good sort of 15 to 20 degrees. It's got quite a lot of low sun, but it's not too intense. So they can sit on the windowsill and enjoy like the sort of mild sunshine and the heat. I find in July when it's really hot, it's just too hot for them, and they dehydrate too quickly, and it's too harsh, and they go brown. I'm currently waiting for an orchid to rebloom, It's due a rebloom at some point. Yeah, this is PO59, so it's a nice bright yellow orange. I will show what it's like in a minute when I paint it out. It's a very unusual pigment to make because it's like whipped. It's a bit like whipped meringue or Dalgona coffee. It's very thick and airy. A nice Dutch orange. Yeah, it is quite a Dutch orange. I never thought of that. I think when I named it, I called this transparent orange, but now you mention it, it is very Dutch. I'm surprised I didn't make the connection. It's been a while since I've seen anything Dutch. I've not been to the Netherlands now for like 3 years, so quite a while. I do miss it, but I think the next holiday is going to be when we're allowed to go on holiday. It's probably going to be Scotland or Germany, I think. You have a cadmium orange from M. Graham. It's much more bright in translucent. Yeah, I've heard they do really nice cadmium paints. M. Graham. Like they're not too heavy or too kind of like cadmium feeling. I've heard that them and Isaro watercolours are supposed to make really nice cadmium paints. I could rename it. Yeah, I could. Maybe I'll think about it. It's something to think about. But then I have to name it right. I wouldn't just want to call it Dutch Orange. I could call it William Orange or Beatrice Orange, maybe. Or maybe the Dutch Werther Orange, which is pretty much like the English, I think. Where do I want to go in Germany? I really want to go to... There's quite a few places I wouldn't mind going. I guess Berlin, it looks quite nice. My parents have been there and they say it's really nice. I also wouldn't mind going somewhere like Cologne or... Where else is there? There is somewhere that I wanted. Was it Strasbourg? I can't remember. There was a place I remember that I wouldn't mind going. It might have been Hamburg or Strasbourg. It was a Berg place. Not that narrows it down. I also want to go to Munich at some point because it looks really nice. I went to Germany once for a day trip a few years ago to Dusseldorf. I didn't really enjoy Dusseldorf. So I thought I would go somewhere that would be nice. That's true. Could call it a Sinus apple. But then people might get confused. don't know how well people in the US and in the UK would take the word seedless apple. Yeah, I think the problem with Germany is that it's quite spaced out. So you can't go to Berlin and then do Munich as like a day trip. You would have to do like a couple of days in Berlin, travel for half a day to get to Munich, and then do a few days in Munich. It's not like nice and compact like the Netherlands, where you could do literally stay in one place on one half of the Netherlands and do a day trip in a different city, which I have done before. I went to the Netherlands once for about 2 weeks, and I think I know enough, nearly, not quite every day, but most days visited a different city. So I've been to quite a few Dutch places. Berlin does look really nice, but I'm also a bit apprehensive of Berlin because it is a capital city. I'm a bit worried it might have a bit of a capital touristy vibe to it. A bit like what Amsterdam has, maybe. Because that's one of the reasons I don't really like Amsterdam. But that'll be something all to think about next year, when we're allowed to go on holiday, and it hopefully won't be too bad to go on holiday. This is getting very creamy. I might test it in a minute, see what it looks like. Cologne, I think, isn't Cologne the German name place for it? I think in English is it called Cologne? Is it? I don't know. Whenever I look at places, I often see it named Cologne. I think I'm saying that right. It might not be. But I'm sure I've also seen it labelled Cologne. Berlin is an artistic city. Amsterdam is fantastic, but don't go and see it in the city. There's so much to Amsterdam and the canals and Red District. Yeah, I did visit, try to do as much as I could outside of like the inner canal bit of Amsterdam, but I just found it so touristy and so compact and so expensive. I much prefer other Dutch cities than Amsterdam. Yeah, Cologne in English, Volcom. It's just, that's one of the strange ones, isn't it? Really different from English to the native language. Like Munich is München, so it's like you can kind of see a similarity there, but I don't see the similarity so much with Cologne and Cologne. Like Munich still sounds fairly German. Whereas like Cologne sounds very, very English. Yeah, I'm not so much a fan of touristy places. I can find it sometimes it can be a bit gimmicky. Whereas when I went to other cities like Rotterdam or The Hague, they were still city and they still felt pretty busy. But it felt quite nice, it felt quite chilled, it felt quite natural. Whereas sometimes I feel capital cities can feel a bit fake and a bit put on. Like London, and like I've been to Dublin and I've been to London, obviously. And London is, well, it might as well be a different country to the UK, to the rest of the UK. Because London is nothing like any other city here. So Cologne comes from the perfume that they sell. Ah, that's why they named it Cologne. I'm guessing the German word for perfume must be Cologne or something similar. My hand still looks very grey, but the colour's looking pretty accurate. I will have to speak to a lot of native people, I think, or people who live in Germany to see what they suggest. I know Ame suggested a place to me, but I've forgotten which place it was she suggested. I can look it up in a second. It might be on my Twitter messages still. That's true, it depends what you want to see, yeah. Well, I went to Dusseldorf and really disliked it because it's very urban, but it's not like, say, like Rotterdam urban. It's, I found Dusseldorf quite dirty and quite messy. Whereas places like Rotterdam, I know Rotterdam was rebuilt, but even though Rotterdam's really urban, it feels really clean and really fresh. Whereas Cologne, I felt, was really dirty. So apparently in the US, Washington DC has a small town appeal. Yeah, that's true. Which is the capital? Is it New York is the capital, isn't it? I've never been to New York, but I would imagine that it's comparable to London in the UK. That it's almost like a different country. Yeah, Dutch cities are they're very clean, they're just kind of quite nice, Dutch cities. Like, I feel like the feeling I got when I was visiting the Netherlands were people that were very proud of the Netherlands in general. Whereas Germany, I didn't quite get that kind of feel. That might just be Dusseldorf. I've not been to a lot of places in Germany. I guess that's as well the major difference is that the Netherlands is quite small and quite tiny. So I guess you don't really have very much variation between different places so much because there's not so much distance. So you were astonished when you moved to Scotland how dirty cities were. Yeah, some cities can be quite dirty here. When it comes to places like, depending on where you go, like places like Edinburgh and places of history, we tend to leave out old buildings because it shows like that history. So we tend to leave those and try and maintain them. But yeah, we have some cleaner bits, we have some dirtier bits. Depends where you look. Like Edinburgh, I would say, is quite clean. Most places, like I've been to Glasgow before, and that was quite a dirty city, like had a dirty look to it. So DC is the capital. I'm guessing then New York must be like the tourist capital then. Maybe the one I would compare to London rather than DC. So let's watch this. Feels quite nice. Just have to see how it dries. Yeah, no, I love Edinburgh. It's really nice. It's got a really nice feel to it. Like, it doesn't feel like a major city. Like, you obviously have this main tourist street, but outside, like, you go 1 or 2 streets back from the main tourist street, and it's quite nice and quite chilled. And I feel like there's lots of nice green spaces in Edinburgh, which help make it feel less busy and less compact. Whereas I found Glasgow felt a bit more like a city. I did prefer shopping in Glasgow because it wasn't so tourist compacted. But I did prefer going around Edinburgh. It's a bit like we've got two cities here that are close by that I often used to visit. One of them's really good for shopping, better than the other one, but then I prefer going around the second city because it's a bit nicer and a bit less compacted. You found Aberdeen quite dirty. I've never been to Aberdeen. I've spoken to Otto about Aberdeen and she says it's quite a nice place, I think. I'm so sorry to hear that, Mikey. Edinburgh is a really amazing place. Oh, that's a different message. Let's have a look. Why is this not working? See if I can find Emmy's message. Direct. Maybe I don't. Oh, hang on, was it? It might be on my profile. It might have been done via tweet. Tweet some replies. Okay, maybe not because I'm going to be there forever searching for it. Yeah, I'm not going to touch. You haven't been to Glasgow. You miss your hometown. Is that where you're from? Glasgow, is it? I think I just asked a really stupid question. Because you're Dutch, aren't you? Breda is your hometown. I've never been to Breda. I think that was on one of the lists. That was on a list of places I was considering visiting. It's in the south, right? In what continent is? What not continent? What county is that? I know it, but I don't know it. I did know it. I can't remember the county that it's in. It's not southern Netherlands, it's the one next to it. It's the same one as what Eindhoven is in, isn't it? Because I've been to Eindhoven, and it was quite nice. It was a bit weird, but it's quite a nice place. I'm trying now to think what that place is called. Nassau, North Brabant. That's it. It's been a while since I've been over there, so my geography's not up to par. When I went there, I really enjoyed Dordrecht, and I also enjoyed Zwolle as well. That was a really nice place. Not so great for like tourists, but it was quite a nice little city. Yeah, Eindhoven was also nice, but it was just really, really bizarre. Yeah, Sachotenbos was also on the list to visit, but because was I staying in Eindhoven? Yeah, I think I was staying in Eindhoven for 3 days. I want to say that I did 4 days in Rotterdam, 3 days in Eindhoven, and then I think I did 4 days in, was it 4 or 5 days in Amersfoort? I can't remember, it was a couple of years ago, but that's kind of how I went out. Stayed in 3 different places and then visited different places around. So you might enjoy Arnhem and Nijmegen. Sarah, was it Nijmegen? Can't remember. And Maastricht. I want to say those places are further out because I was staying on the left-hand side of the Netherlands. So you got the Netherlands here, Germany's like here, Belgium's here. I was staying on this half because Waller's like here, and then obviously this half. I also want to visit maybe Friesland. I've heard that's supposed to be an experience. I've heard Maastricht is really nice too. I slightly worry a bit more about the German accent there. My German is not quite that great. Oh, click the wrong thing. I'm going to have to Google those places now. You'll have to go sailing if in Friesland. Is it a big sailing place? I'm really curious to know what their accent is like and what Frisian is like. Because I've heard it's supposed to be very, very close to English. So it's just that softer G thing they've got going on. Similar to what they've got going on like in Eindhoven and Den Haag. It's a softer G. See, I really quite like the harsh G. Like I've been trying to go over German and learn more German recently, and I'm finding that a soft G in German really difficult to do because I'm used to just Dutch G, the sound, that kind of sound. And I also find it really kind of cringy when English people like pronounce some foreign names like Dutch places and really, really Englishify like the name. I once heard an English, I think it was on the news, it was about Dutch universities. And they pronounced something, I think I mentioned this before, I think they pronounced it Groningen for Groningen. Which was like, when I heard it, I really cringed. So there's lots of lakes in Friesland. Wow, that sounds amazing. I'm going to have to Google it. There's too many places I want to travel to. I would love to do like Germany and maybe the Netherlands all in one hit again, but I feel like it would take 3 weeks to do properly. I've noticed that in like The Hague they've got a softer G than like Amsterdam, I guess. I still noticed there was obviously quite a strong G sound, but I remember the person at the hotel, the check-in person, said they don't have they have funny G's apparently. So you don't think I would understand Frisian? I tried to look it up on Google and things like that, but I've yet to find any kind of extract or anything in Frisian properly. I know that the Dutch people in general kind of poke fun at it and laugh at Frisian. You cringe when some Dutch people speak English. I've never had that experience at the minute so far. I've had some funny experiences with Dutch people speaking English. I once knew some Dutch people, and somebody said to me about wanting a sandwalker, and we were all kind of like, "What's a sandwalker?" And of course, they meant, say in English, a hourglass or an egg timer. And of course, the Dutch version for that is zandloper, so it's sandwalker, as in translated. Apparently he didn't hear the end of it from his Dutch friends. And the only other thing they've tried to do was try and teach me some Dutch that was rude words in Dutch. And tell me that they were actually like chat-up lines. Oh. Yeah, there are definitely some strange Dutch sayings. Is one of them as crazy as a door, I think? And is there another one that's like so crazy, you're saying something so crazy that not even the cat would believe it? Is that one? It's been a while since I've learnt much Dutch. Dutch is, I found, really difficult to learn in a way that, not because it's a difficult language, but because there's not much practice of it. Like, there's not a lot of material online of things in Dutch. Like, I've been trying to learn German at the minute, and I'm finding there's lots of things in German out there. Like, there's pop songs translated into German, there's, German TV shows on YouTube, there's all things like this in German, which is really easy to, when I'm not like trying to fully focus, when I'm trying to learn, kind of, when I'm looking for something to get me in the mood for more heavy learning, it's nice to listen to like songs in the language or watch TV shows in the language, just to hear the language or be used to it. And I found that one thing really difficult when learning Dutch. There's not a lot of it, because we all speak such good English that you just tend to use English for everything. So most of the songs in Dutch that I learnt were Disney songs. I know a couple of modern artist songs. I really like Suzanne and Freak. They're really good artists. I enjoy listening to them when they do something. So, De Rijk and Ilse de Lange is apparently a good one. I listen to some Dutch artists, but they sing and perform in English. I listen to some Dutch bands, but they're all English songs. I've also heard a couple of hit singles from Vlof as well. They're not too bad to listen to. I think I've got actually 2 books in Dutch. I've got a Harry Potter book and a Roald Dahl book in Dutch somewhere. I've not actually read them fully. I think I've kind of given up a bit on Dutch at the minute because it's material's difficult and most of people speak English there. Like even when I was there, I spoke as much Dutch as I could, but it was quite difficult because everybody would just revert to English, even when I tried to speak Dutch. Yeah, I think that's the same with all kind of material, like TV shows and music. There's not a big audience for it, unless, like, because I watch TV obviously in downtime in the hotel rooms, like at night time or early morning, or just kind of when you're kind of in between things. And I did notice that unless it was a TV advert or something for under 5-year-olds, it was all just dubbed, subbed rather. It was subtitled rather than dubbed. So it's difficult to find things online that for adults in the language. Whereas German, for example, there's lots, because obviously it's spoken in, like, is it 4 or 5 countries, German? Yeah, because there's obviously Germany that speak it, there's Switzerland that speak it. There are other countries that speak German. Does Liechtenstein, I think, speak German? And I think some places in Denmark speak German too, I think, from what I remember. So apparently Ik Hou Holland is quite fun. Dumper, I think I recognise that name, Dumper. One of the things I do like listening to, it's not really music, but I like listening, is it Longs de Lou, is it? No, that's not it. That's the kind of chat show, isn't it? Yeah, I sometimes listen to that, or I will listen to, is it Zondag met Lubak? I sometimes watch on YouTube. Because it's obviously finding the right kind of material. I kind of want something that's not super fast and it's quite clear. Because obviously every country has dialects and their own way of speaking. Like each area or each town or each person will have their own way of saying certain words. Like even in English, there are some words that I skip over quite quickly. Some I take the time to slow down and sort of enunciate properly, depending on the word. So it's difficult sometimes to find good speakers of it, because obviously in general English conversation you don't enunciate everything clearly as if you're public speaking, for example, where every word needs to be really crisp and clear. Like in a conversation it could be a lot of implied things and lots of mumbling and fumbling and strange noises. Yeah, Zondag met Lubak, yeah. And the Nederland's second video, I remember that. That's how I found it, was actually through the Netherlands second video, the spoof of America First. That was just so funny. The bit about Slagharen, the pony park. Wow, you've moved around quite a lot of places. Must be really exciting to do. Yeah, I think with any language, I think half of what you can learn about speaking or writing a language can only be learned natively, like either living in the country or living in the community of those people. it's the same with English. Like British English is very different depending on what town or city you go to, and it's very different from standardised American English. Like almost to the point that you could almost argue that British English and American English are almost different languages sometimes. Yeah, every country copied. Did the UK do one? I can't remember. We probably did somewhere. The UK is not a particularly good-looking country at the minute. For many things. It's not a very desirable place at the minute, I don't think. Did I drink? No, I didn't drink all my coffee. Ireland is a really weird one. Like, I can understand most people's accents, like in Dublin, but in some places they have really funky accents. Like I think in Limerick they've got really, really strong, jumpy accents that are really difficult to follow. So you didn't want to leave Scotland? No, I always feel that whenever I visit and come back. Like, I find Edinburgh feels very, very chilled. It almost kind of feels a little bit Dutch in some ways, as in it's got that kind of chill factor to it. People feel chilled. They don't feel too on edge. I think Ireland, from what I remember, outside of like the big cities, is I visited Dublin and I think a small town outside Dublin. Going to the smaller town, there wasn't masses to do, but it was pretty and it was, lots of space. If you want lots of space and countryside, there's plenty of it in the Republic of Ireland. I'm not sure what Belfast and Northern Ireland are like. I would imagine it's a bit more. I think it's more compact, I think. Let's have a look. Is this dry? I think that's dry. Your grandparents from Ireland, you can't understand their relatives. Yeah, I think it does vary with Ireland, depending on what area they come from. Let's do it. Probably a little bit more binder in it. Probably needs. I think Dublin is generally I've got paint everywhere. Generally speaking, I think Dublin is a bit better for accents because obviously it's quite industrial and it's a bit more touristy, so they got to get more tourists there. So I think it's probably leveled out the language a little bit. Sligo, I've heard of that. I'm not sure where it is, but I've heard of it. I think it would be interesting to go to the Aran Islands in Ireland, because they are people who speak Irish as their native language. I think that would be really interesting to see and speak with them. Because unlike the rest of the Republic of Ireland, they weren't forced to speak English because the English never invaded the Aran Islands. So they got to keep their native Irish. I think there's loads of great islands around the UK, like we've got like the Isle of Man and Isle of Skye and Stornoway. I think was it Stornoway? Stornoway? I can't remember. Up just at the top of Scotland. And they all look really nice. They look almost kind of Nordic looking. Irish isn't really understandable because it's Gaelic. Yeah, that's the language they speak is Gaelic. So you bought a Harry Potter book in Irish to learn it. Oh, that's tough. I remember I did do some intro stuff in Irish, and it's you might not have too much problem with it being Dutch, but it's really, I remember Gaelic being really, really backwards. I think they put the verb before the pronoun in talking, I think I remember. So if it's, for example, she walks to the shop, I think it's walks she to shop, I think. But yeah, it's really complicated. I don't know if Harry Potter is also a good material to learn, because Harry Potter can be more complicated than what you think. Like the Dutch book I have from Harry Potter is more complicated to read than the Roald Dahl book that I've got. I think there's a lot of words in Harry Potter and quite a lot of long words in general. And obviously with Harry Potter as well, you've got a lot of law words, so words that are born within Harry Potter, and they can be a bit confusing. I got paint on my finger again. There's more paint on my finger than there is on this board. Oh yeah, that's true. You can always compare it to the Dutch or English Harry Potter books. Yeah, that's very true. I'm surprised they translated it into Gaelic, because there's not very many Gaelic speakers. I think there's more like people learning on language apps Gaelic than what there are actual native speakers of it, like in the country. I think it's a bit like Welsh as well. I don't think there are any. Are there native speakers of Welsh? I know people learn it as a second language in Wales, but I don't know if there's anybody that learns it as a first language. It might have been English fight too much. Perhaps once I've mastered German, I will try again with Dutch. I think that's also the big difference between the two. I think there's lots of ways to say things in Dutch, whereas in German it's a bit more straightforward. There's not so many ways to say things in German as there is Dutch. And I think pronunciation in German is also a lot more straightforward. Like I listened to some Austrian German and some like German, and they're fairly similar. Whereas I've listened to obviously Dutch from different cities, and they're all quite different. It's apparently mandatory now in Irish schools to learn Irish. Yeah, I think it's up to secondary school level. Is it like age? Is it 14? I think when you do GCSEs or their equivalent of, that it's mandatory. I think I somewhere. It was an Irish YouTuber I was watching who did something about Irish. No, I know. I think because Gaelic is kind of making a bit of a bounce back because it was illegal for such a long time, up and probably till, was it something like 20, 30 years ago that the language was illegal or something. And they had to destroy or learn or speak Irish in secret when the Brits ruled. Yeah, German does have a lot more endings, but I think they're all, I don't know if the word is more straightforward, but they're more kind of different. They're a bit more obvious and a bit more clear, at least to me they are. I just think I would find German, I think I prefer speaking and learning Dutch, but I think German would be easier to learn because there's more material and there's more native speakers that will speak it. Like, even if you look on YouTube and within the art community, there's a lot more German people than Dutch people. Ha ha ha. Damn it. Yeah, I just think of the other country they speak German in. Austria. So there's the 4 countries. Really. Just really. And speaking of German in general, welcome back, Lana. I hope you enjoyed your dinner. What's the O no for? Oh, the paint. I found German hard in secondary school. And as soon as you could skip to from your program. That's really weird because I did the same thing. We learned other foreign languages at the age, or when I was at school. We learned them from age 12 onwards. So the first year of secondary school, we would learn 1 language. And then if we did really well with that one, we would learn 2 in the second year. So first year, I learned French. Second year, I learned French and German. And I really, really hated my German lessons with a passion. But I really enjoyed my French ones. So I continued French at GCSE level at age 14 and dropped German. But now that I'm relearning German in my own time, I find that German's more enjoyable to learn. So perhaps it was the teacher that I just didn't like. Yeah, mowing paint can be dangerous, especially if you're me. You would like to learn Spanish, but you're not good with languages. Spanish, I think, is an odd one as well. Like, it's a bit like French, but not French. It's got its own quirks and stuff, but it's more of that kind of language with like un and una and things like that in it. It's more Frenchified. It's the only language I could compare it to. Same with like Italian, it's a bit like that. Whereas things like German, Dutch, Danish, things like that are quite similar. And I would place things like Italian, French, Spanish in one category. And I would also place probably Swedish and Norwegian and English in one category together as well. Oh yes, 1 year English, Dutch and French. Second year English, Dutch, German and French. Whoa, that's a lot of languages. I suppose Dutch wouldn't really count because that's your native language. So you're learning like grammar, like extra grammar and stuff like that. Third year or 4 again? Oh, yeah. We really do need to do better here in the UK at learning languages. I think they learn one foreign language now at a younger age. I want to say in primary school, but I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've been to school. And when I did it, it was only at secondary level that we learned foreign languages. And I wanted to learn French first, so I chose French to learn. I just dipped my finger in paint again. Oh, hang on, I need to put the water heater on. I'll be back. 1 minute. Right, I'm back. Biology, economics, cultural studies, history, physics, chemistry. Yeah, we did all that. That's one of it. It's really odd what they teach in schools. Sometimes I feel they don't teach very valuable skills at schools anymore. Like, unless you're going to do something with physics or chemistry or sciencey stuff, like unless you're going to become like a doctor or a scientist of some kind, I don't really see how that's going to be helpful to learn. Same with things like history and geography, we call it, so learning about places like rivers and stuff like that. Learning all the different names of a river or bits like that, it was a bit odd, like what are we going to do with that? Like, I don't apply anything from those lessons that I learned about history, geography, science in my day-to-day life. But I do apply things from maths, IT, cooking, because I did DT food tech. English, I do apply English things in my day-to-day life. French, I don't do anything with French anymore. Music, I don't do anything with music either. Art was a waste of time because I hated my art GCSE lessons. So English is the first language taught in Germany. And then French and then Latin. I don't think they teach Latin here anymore at a school level. I think you have to go to university to learn Latin now. I feel like schools should teach life lessons, like how to do bills, or how to put petrol in a car, or how to go to the grocery shop, or how to do your ironing and laundry. So it's just like, they don't really teach those things. I know, like, now as an adult they all seem kind of simple, but when I first moved out of home I was like, what am I doing? I never got Latin. Oh, and geography, general understanding. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I guess they do all those lessons to get an understanding of what you like, but they would keep with... They would kind of keep with those lessons even in secondary school. Like, I know your family and your parents are supposed to teach things like how to do ironing and washing, but some people don't obviously have parents or fall out with their parents, or I know parents teach them those things, but in a way you'd have thought school would teach people life lessons more. Because that way at least then the education is universal. So biology is important to farmers and agronomists. Yeah, I think some things are, like basic level stuff, I think is probably quite important in general, like, so you know not to put, say, like bleach on an open wound, that kind of thing, to clean it, or things like that are helpful. But I remember there are some things that we did with physics and stuff that were kind of like a bit advanced for day-to-day life. I guess it does depend what kind of job you go into, but I do wish schools would teach more general day-to-day life stuff, rather than all sorts of stuff, like the stuff they do teach. Like history and Shakespeare and stuff like that. But it's not just that, it's the stuff within those lessons, like history lessons. I remember we learnt about, I think, World War II, which was quite good. We learnt about the Tudors and stuff like that. But then we would also learn really weird and obscure science things. Not science things, history things. Like we would learn a local history, but it wasn't our local history. It would be like history of a town somewhere else. Like, what's the point in that? Yeah, some history is important, and I do agree that some is, but they really did teach some weird stuff in history. Or they would go into in depth into some history. So we would do like the Tudor history. We would not just do like general Tudor history, but we would then go into the life of some random person at Tudor times. It's like, this is important because... Or RE lessons as well. I found my RE lessons at secondary school a lot more helpful than in primary school. In primary school, all we learnt was Christianity. At secondary school, we started to learn about different religions and different practices, which was really good. Geography was always one that I was really weirded out by. Like, we didn't learn like how to read a map, for example. In geography, we would learn things like about lakes and things like that, or how hills are made up, all the different layers and sediments of hills, for example. Like, that's not overly helpful. You'd have thought they would try and teach us how to read a map or how to navigate it, or about different areas of the UK, but apparently not. Yeah, they were very specific with dates. Nobody remembers those dates or anything. Like, I think it's important to know it, like the Tudors happened and the Tudor period, but I don't think anybody needs to know the exact date that Elizabeth I reigned to and from. Like, some things were good and worked, but some things were just very random and abstract. Yeah, I agree, not everybody is qualified to teach life lessons, and life is different for everybody too. Like, my life lessons, I know, probably aren't going to help a family of 5, for example. They're not going to be any good for a family of 5. For me to, or a young couple who are about to have a child, for example. The way I live is not suitable for them. Yeah, underground is important if you want to be an archaeologist, but they're, in terms of being really general, they're a bit obscure. It's a bit of an obscure and bit. There's too specific information. Like, it wasn't general enough for everybody. Like, it's good if, like, with history, geography, science and stuff, I found a lot of it was, like, I did really well in science and I really enjoyed it, but everything we learnt was very specific, which is great if you're going to go into that profession or use a profession that needs it, but 90% of people are not going to go into those professions, which is fine, but, you know, as great as it is, we're all at school because we grow up eventually and leave school, and we need things to match our lives and jobs that we're going to be going into. Yeah, it needs to be, they were too specific, they focused too much on specific things. Well, yeah, it's great to do those things and they should include those things. They just spent too much time on, say, learning all the different layers of all the sediments and stuff. You know, they should have spent a week or 2 on that and then 2 weeks on something else, rather than a whole, say, 6 weeks on it, which is what they did, which was a bit weird. But then I'm saying all this, it's been a long time since I've been at school. It's been over 10 years since I've been at school, so I would imagine it's changed a bit. I would imagine now, especially with now other things going on in the world and everything, I would imagine now they've changed the teaching a bit. Geography for you was easy. Yeah, no, I agree. I found geography pretty easy. I didn't have to put a ton of effort into it. Like, it's quite easy. It was quite easy to kind of just make it up, or, you know, kind of figure it out. But at other times it was like a bit of a waste of time in some respects. I need trays. I'll go in here. Move this over. Oh, that didn't go well. Who's messaged me? I'm gonna make a mess. There's colour everywhere. This colour's really messy. Yeah, that is true. School is important. I'm not saying it's not important, but the subjects I learned at school and the way they taught me at school wasn't particularly amazing. But yeah, no, I agree that school is important. And I've got family that are in education and they do a lot of work when it comes to the kids, and it's really difficult work to do. We do ask a lot of them. But then I think at the same time, that's what they're there for as well. I feel that they're there to help shape the future. It's a big responsibility and a lot of pressure. And I think it's just one of those things you can't really escape. Like, that has to come from somebody. Obviously, parents are supposed to do it, but nowadays that's happening less and less, where parents aren't qualified, not qualified, but they're not competent enough to teach their children important things, or what they have learned for themselves is too outdated for the modern generations, if that makes sense. I need patterns. Right, I'm back with my patterns. Yeah, there are really great teachers out there. I think it's the same with any job. You'll find some that are really helpful and some that aren't. It's the same with doctors. Like, there are some doctors out there who, even just general GP doctors, who are really good and I found really helpful whenever I've gone for a doctor's appointment. And I've had some that just could not care less about me as a patient. This is where this paint's really weird, because it's like almost like meringue. It's difficult to get into the pan. It's not falling off the spatula. Yeah, I think teachers are under immense pressure. And not to be sound horrible, but that pressure is there for obviously a reason, because they're obviously educating people. You don't want a teacher educating somebody the wrong thing. And obviously teachers can make or break an individual's life. Whether or not the teachers want to accept it or not, they have a big responsibility in shaping people who they are, who they're going to turn out to be, even if they don't realise it, or even if they're not very active in that role. You'll be surprised how someone's life can change because they found an amazing teacher, or how their life has become because they found a really bad teacher. I definitely do have a tiny bit of experience with this. My art teacher at school, I hated. We didn't get on and she was really nasty towards me. And once I left school, I didn't paint for about 7 years. That's kind of the negative effect that she had on me. Now imagine if I had a really good art teacher and I had a good experience with that, and I continued painting from when I left school, and how my paintings would be today as opposed to how they are at the minute. Obviously I know that that's not a big important thing, but imagine this is an important subject like maths or English or something like that, and that negative experience maybe potentially put somebody off of going to college or going into a profession that they would really enjoy or they'd be good at, just because they had a bad teaching experience. Like, I know it's not fair to ask teachers of that, but it kind of happens by default that they will help shape that the individual. they will help shape students in what their lives will be. Good or bad. It's who they spend a lot of time with and who teaches them things. Your teacher said that you shouldn't paint because you're bad at it. Exactly, and now look at where you are. You do beautiful paintings. I had the similar thing with German teacher and my French teacher. My German teacher always gave report cards that said that I didn't enjoy the lessons and I was no good at foreign languages. My French teacher said that I really enjoyed her lessons and I was really strong at foreign languages. So, do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's the teacher that can be the issue. Or, I rephrase that. Sometimes it can be the teacher that makes or breaks a subject and a skill. It's a lot of pressure and a lot to put on somebody in teaching, and they're amazing at what they do. And I don't think teachers are given an appreciation of how much they do in their job. Well, the good ones, that is. Yeah, it's good that you never listen to your art teacher. I would also probably say that ours were kind of limited as well. We did some really weird. There wasn't really. We didn't get a lot of help with it. Like, we were very much left to our own devices, I think, in our art lessons. Nearly made a mess. When you were young, you planned to combine two things. You like history and art, and planned to restore artwork. Your history teacher got a doctorate and stopped teaching, so he left, and then you knew nothing and gave up. Oh no, that's really a shame. But that, again, that's kind of like the thing I mentioned. Like, that teacher shaped your future and what you were going to become and how you potentially were going to view things in life. Even if he didn't think about it, or it wasn't necessarily direct. Like he didn't turn around and say to you, "Oh, don't do this," but because of his actions, it impacted on your choices for a career or further education. I think there are some people that go into teaching think it's an easy job and that they could just do it because it's good money and they can kind of goof off on it, and that's just really not quite true. There's a lot of responsibility and it's a really important job. My fingers are bright orange. So you kind of see that it's a weird paint. It's holding a shape, like whipped meringue. It will, if I tap it, try and get some air bubbles out. But yeah, I'm done with this colour, and I think we're nearly done with the stream. Been going for about 2 hours, so yeah, I'll end it in about a few minutes. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about renaming it Dutch Orange or something. So next week's streaming, I would look at my Instagram page for that one. I'm not sure what's happening next week because restrictions have been lifted in the UK now. Those who are single occupant households, so like myself, can visit other people and expand their social bubble. So I will be visiting my parents next Sunday, like I used to. So I'm either going to stream Sunday lunchtimes or Sunday or Friday evenings. I'm not sure which. Release date. So the release date coming up is going to be the 26th of June. Colours like this won't be included because they're going to be for the next one, which I'm going to aim September-ish. But I am putting more colours on sale on the 26th of June. So in like 2 weeks. And I can't wait to share them all. I've been starting to share them on Instagram. Pictures. So hopefully, so you can see more of those in the next week. I'm going to share 1 or 2 on Instagram at the minute. I'm going to share some more this week, leading up to the 26th. Yeah, it's really great that I can see people again and expand my social bubble. And things are getting definitely better in the UK when it comes to COVID-19. Cases and deaths are dropping quite quickly at the minute, which is good. Hopefully it continues and does well. Oh, thanks for all the links on. Yeah, so I will post on Instagram and I will post an event on YouTube of when I'm streaming. But just keep in mind it might be Friday rather than Sunday, or it might be earlier on Sunday. So do keep an eye out if you do want to watch the next one. I am planning on keeping safe with people. Like my parents are all, like we're all being really well behaved. We're not breaking lockdown. We're keeping our distance from people. And yeah, we're being as safe as we can. Luckily our town is really got low cases. I think we've just about hit 1,000 confirmed cases. So we're pretty low, thankfully. And hopefully that will continue. But yeah, we'll be staying safe. But thank you guys so much for watching. A huge thank you to Lana for being mod and doing all the links. Go check out her pages, Instagram and her YouTube channel and all that good stuff. I'm going to start linking it in my live streams, my live links. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody watching. I don't have a face mask, no. That's one thing I don't have when I go out and about is a face mask. I do need to get one, but they're really hard to come by at the minute. But I don't really go out a lot unless it's to the supermarket or to work, so it's all good. I'm keeping my distance from everybody. But yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by and watching. Make sure you all stay safe, and I hope you all have a really good week. And hopefully I'll see you at the next one, whenever that one will be. So thanks everybody, and I will see you soon, hopefully. But yeah, so thanks everyone for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.